go deeper with Lobbing Scorchers? Scratch under the surface, get down even dirtier than we already get? Become a YouTube member. Sometimes things just get a little too spicy, a little too weird, and a little too loose for the general public. And the people to see that are YouTube members. We're talking about exclusive bonus videos, the podcast after show, exclusive written content, and little bits and pieces of information before the unwashed masses know about it. As a member, you not only get access to all of this amazing content, you get a badge next to your name and a slew of amazing emotes to use, not only in our live stream chat, but also in our comment section. And yes, we do have an emote for Jesus Ferreira, Go Snack, and Paul Rothrock. This is the best way to help keep us independent and keep us building out this crazy YouTube brand that we call Lobbing Scorchers. Hit the join button down below or hit the link in the top of our description if you're on mobile to join the ranks and become a Lobbing Scorchers YouTube member.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome in to another episode of Under the Lights. It's going to be a good show here tonight. My plan is mostly just to continue to keep basking in the Seattle Sounders Leagues Cup 2025 title, which they famously won 3-0 over Inter Miami, Lionel Messi, and the Barca Boys. We've got a little bit of a break in the schedule right now before the Seattle Sounders are back in action in MLS play. They don't play this weekend. So we're going to be basically, like I said, just continuing to revel in this historic victory. And there are a couple of news items regarding the brawl at the end of the game that dropped within the last couple hours. So going to lead the show with that. Luis Suarez has spoken. The crash out crybaby himself released a statement. So we're going to take a look at that, see what we think of Luis Suarez's apology. And Inter Miami also put out a statement regarding the brawl. So we'll take a look at those. We'll see if we deem them sufficient. And then other than that, I was thinking pretty much just let you guys steer the ship. Whatever topics, questions, agendas, observations, and grievances you might have, go ahead and drop them in chat. Get to as many as I can. But I feel like with where we're at in the schedule right now, with Seattle having a little bit of a break, they don't play until the weekend after this weekend when you guys know they play the LA Galaxy again. It's funny. The first two games, their return to league play are against the Galaxy and Inter Miami. Host the Galaxy, then go to Miami. So it's kind of sick that these two teams are playing again that this close together because of where relations are strained right now. Relations are strained, I think it's fair to say. But I think that kind of gives us some time to really kind of just soak this all in a way that we might not otherwise have if they were playing, say, on Saturday, and there's still a lot of fallout to be had from Inter Miami's post-game crash out. As of now, as of this show, there's still been no announcement on suspensions for Luis Suarez, or there was a few other crash out crybabies that committed suspendable offenses. Sergio Busquets, crash out crybaby number 2. I would think that he would be subject to discipline for jabbing Obed Vargas in the face. I mean, some people, I guess, are taking issue with the characterization of that as a punch because he didn't wind up and swing it. It was more of a jab. I mean, whatever you want to call it. That's a suspendable offense in my view. Falcone, crash out crybaby number 3. He also was in some headlock action. And, people were talking about maybe some Seattle players are going to get disciplined too. If I had to guess on who might be subject to that, John Bell did tackle a guy. I would argue he was acting in defense of his teammate in that situation. But, they might look at that, give him a little suspension. Jackson Reagan was also in there scrapping. Those are the two guys that come to mind that might get hit with something. But we'll see about that. We'll talk later in the show about whether I think that MLS is going to step in and suspend these crash out crybabies in league play, even though it took place in Leagues Cup. There's sort of a vibe that they might be trying to do this, like, oh well, I was in Leagues Cup, we can't do anything. Let's get Luis Suarez crash out crybaby right back out there. I would be surprised if they do that, man. I would be surprised. Seems like optically, you got to get Suarez crash out crybaby out of there in league play for a bit. Steve Lenhart might get fined. This Steve Lenhart subplot is kind of an interesting one because I'll be honest, guys, I totally missed that he got hired, which I think I couldn't kind of process what Nico was telling me when he was telling me that on kickoff, because as I understand it, he was not a popular figure in the Sounders fan base during his playing career, to the point where when I bring up like all-time villains, that's a name that a lot of people say. And that was kind of before my time, so I don't remember that dynamic. That's just what I've been told. Now, apparently he's an assistant coach. And the first thing I don't think he's a coach. He's like a sports psychologist kind of thing. Anyway, he was out there. He was out there scrapping it. So that's another Seattle staff member that could be involved in whatever disciplinary action takes place. I cannot imagine that anyone on Seattle will get anything near equal to what the Fort Lauderdale crash out crybabies are going to get. But I guess we're going to find out 4 days after the fact, and we still don't know. Before we take a look at the apology from crash out crybaby number 1, Luis Suarez, that he put out a couple hours ago, and then look at Inter Miami's statement. If everyone could do me a favor, big favor right now, and please like the video. If you have not yet, subscribe to the channel, throw us a sub. Also, support all our sponsors, please. Hacks and Ferments, Full Pull Wines, Podium Menswear, my data removal. Hacks and Ferments, LobbingScorchers.com/sauce for the hot sauce that we put out with them. It's really good. You can put it on all your breakfast. And it's a great way to support the show. And you can also become a YouTube member, as I just have seen here. Catherine Knowles became a YouTube member. Thank you, Catherine. Appreciate the support. And anyone who wants to support Lobbing Scorchers, that's a great way to do it. Yeah, sports psychology. I don't know if that's exactly what Steve Lenhart's role was. Nico said it was like something to do with mental health. So I don't really know. I don't know what that is. Like I said, I completely missed this hire. Someone was giving me a hard time. They're like, how did you not know about Lenhart? I don't know. I don't know how I missed that. Maybe I did know that and I forgot, but that was news to me. The first thing I saw of him is he's out there in the middle of the post-game brawl against Inter Miami and the crash out crybaby losers. So go figure. All right. Yeah. Like the video, sub to the channel. Let's get into it because, like I said, Luis Suarez, the crash out crybaby number 1, really at this point, is he the number 1 crash out crybaby in the history of the sport? I mean, before this, you already had an entire career's worth of biting. This time he's spitting. Is spitting making a comeback? I was just watching week 1 of the NFL. Philly Eagles versus Dallas Cowboys, and Jalen Carter Suarez, Dak Prescott. What's going on? He full Suarez, Dak Prescott, and he got ejected before the game even started. It was literally like the first. They did the kickoff, and they hadn't even snapped the ball yet. They were looking at an injured guy, and Jalen Carter spit on Dak Prescott and got ejected. I've never seen that in the NFL, I don't think. And I never saw what Suarez did. Apparently he was watching the Leagues Cup final and took some inspiration and did the same thing. What is going on, man? Anyway, sorry. That was a tangent. Suarez put out an apology. So I'm going to pull it up in a second. But the first thing I wanted to do before we look at this, we're gonna see if we deem this apology sufficient for the offense. But let's just put our PR hats on for a second, okay? Because when you have a PR crisis, either as an athlete like this or a club like Inter Miami, I think there are certain boxes that you just have to check right off the bat, or the apology is not going to be well received. So in this situation, you have one of your players start an insane brawl right after they just lost 3-0. One of your 38-year-old senior players puts a 20-year-old opposing player in a headlock, starts an insane brawl, goes over to a team staffer and spits in his face. So how do you handle this? How do you handle the making a statement, the public apology portion of this? To me, there are two main things that you got to do here with my PR hat on. Okay. Number one, under no circumstances at any point in the apology or the statement can you say anything at all that can be construed as diminishing, rationalizing, or justifying what you did. You cannot do that. You have to take responsibility and accountability. You can't say anything to the effect of blaming the other side, of saying that you were provoked or instigated. You have to take full ownership of it. Otherwise, it's not an apology. Okay? So that's number one. Number two, if there's an individual who has been like the most wronged in the situation, you have to apologize to them by name. You have to mention them. You have to acknowledge that part of the incident, and you should apologize to them by name. In this case, that was Gene Ramirez, Security Gene, who was the one that Suarez spat on. If you don't mention that, and I really think you got to be like, Gene Ramirez, what I did to him was unacceptable. I apologize to him specifically because he didn't deserve that. And there's absolutely no circumstance where what I did is acceptable. So I apologize to him. Okay? Those are like the two main things, just right off rip, that if you have any sort of PR competence or savvy, you make absolutely sure that both the player involved and the club acknowledges those two things. We're not going to rationalize or justify or say this was provoked, and we're going to apologize directly and by name to the person that in this case was spit on. Anyone want to take any predictions on if they were able to meet this exceedingly low bar? And really, it's it's about the merits of it, but it's also like just basic strategy on how to handle a crisis moment for your club and your brand. It's if you don't meet these thresholds, it's self-defeating. You make yourself look really bad, arguably even worse. Okay. So I was kind of thinking about these things in the days leading up to this statement. It's kind of crazy that it took this long anyway. You could have put these out like right after the game, couldn't you? Or then maybe the day after. But I was like, all right, let's see. Let's see what our friend Crash Out Crybaby Luis Suarez has got. It's not going to be a statement that he wrote, but let's see what kind of advice he's getting. And let's see how Inter Miami handles this. So I'm going to pull it up right now. We're going to find out. Here's the sounder heart write up on the apology from Jeremiah Oshan. This is the translation of it. I'm going to read it out. Then we're going to see what we think. Luis Suarez, Crash Out Crybaby. In response to his spit-filled meltdown, brawl instigation following his embarrassing 3-0 loss to the Seattle Sounders in the Leagues Cup final at Lumen Field, he says, first of all, I want to congratulate Seattle Sounders for their victory in the Leagues Cup. All right. I mean, thanks, I guess. I don't know if that's how I would have let it off, like as if that's the most important thing, but congratulations. I want to congratulate Seattle Sounders for their victory in the Leagues Cup, but above all, I want to apologize for my behavior at the end of the match, okay? It was a moment of tension and frustration where as soon as the match ended, things happened that shouldn't have, but that doesn't justify the reaction I had. I was wrong and I sincerely regret it. It's a temple massager, chat. It's a temple massager. This is already chalked right there. You see what he's doing there. Whereas as soon as the match ended, things happened that shouldn't have, but that doesn't justify the reaction I had. What that is trying to say is that what I did was wrong, but I was provoked. I was instigated. Things happened that shouldn't have. They did something to me that was bad. And it provoked me into acting how I did. That's what he's saying. That's the subtext there. Okay? So let's not get it twisted. He's not taking responsibility or accountability at all. He is blaming someone else. And you know what that is? There's a word for that. It's cowardly. And frankly, I would expect nothing less from a loser like this. But even so, like I said, just from the PR strategy of it, it's stupid, man. That's bad. That's not taking responsibility. They did do something. They humiliated him on the field. Yeah, exactly. That's why he did what he did. If he had said that, I might have respected it more. Honestly, guys, I was so embarrassed by how badly I just got my ass beat in the game that I lost my head because of how badly the Seattle Sounders destroyed my sorry ass club. You should have said that. As soon as the match ended, things happened that shouldn't have, but that doesn't justify the reaction I had. God, that's so bad. It's laughable. It's laughable. That is the one thing that you can't say. And you know what makes it even worse is that's the line that Javier Mascherano was going with after the game too. It was provoked. Suarez, Mascherano, and Inter Miami, they are to me, it's pretty obvious at this point that they're trying to lay the groundwork of we were provoked by Seattle defense. That's what's going on here. Whatever punishment and whatever discipline does happen, they're going to go with we were provoked. This was instigated. This wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for them. That's what Mascherano said right after the game. That's what Luis Suarez is saying here. So we should be crystal clear about that. All right. That's not an apology. That is blaming someone else and not taking accountability at all. Pathetic. It's honestly sad. It's sad and it's laughable and it's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing, dude. Like, how do you even manage to embarrass yourself even worse than you already did in this situation? That's crazy. Super chat's disabled. That should not be a thing. I don't like seeing that. I don't like seeing that in chat. We did have a YouTube member join, so let me know if that's a thing, because I don't want that to be a thing. Anyway, that's just the most laughably bad way to start this quote unquote apology that I could think of. And it's just such bad PR strategy outside of anything else. How does no one read? Someone has to have like checked this before he put it out. They might have even wrote it for him. The fact that they let that slide in there, what are we talking about? Okay, there's a super chat. Thank God. Don't scare me like that. Ozarado with the $2. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. Suarez is a crash out crybaby loser. He is the crash out crybaby loser. I mean, good Lord. Sergio Busquets, let's not overlook how much of a crash out crybaby loser he also is. Falcone, let's give him his due there as well. But oh my God. All right, let's keep going. It was a moment of a lot of tension and frustration. That's also stupid too. Like, that's also again trying to justify and rationalize. God, I want to copy edit this thing so bad. Get that, cross that out. Who gives a shit if it was a moment of tension and frustration? That is not relevant information. It's not necessary to put in the apology. PR man, come on. You cross that shit out as soon as you see it. Like, how delusional do you have to be to see that and think that you can put it out? That's crazy. In a moment of a lot of tension and frustration, where as soon as the match ended, things that happened that shouldn't have, but that doesn't justify the reaction I had. I was wrong and I sincerely regret it. No, you don't, loser. This is not the image I want to show. Not to my family, who suffers because of my mistakes, nor to my club, which doesn't deserve to be affected by something like this. I feel bad about what happened, and I didn't want to miss the opportunity to acknowledge it and ask for forgiveness from everyone who felt hurt by what I did. Let's talk about that part. I feel bad about what happened, and I didn't want to miss the opportunity to acknowledge it and ask forgiveness from everyone who felt hurt by what I did. I think the key right there is everyone who felt hurt by what I did. Not the guy I spit on. Not the guy that I walked up to, stepped on his foot to pin him down and spit on. I'm not gonna specify him. I'm going to ask for forgiveness from everyone who felt hurt by what I did. I mean, it's laughable. It's laughable. It's so bad. What are we talking about with everyone who felt hurt by what I did? How about forgiveness from the guy you spit on? Loser. God, it's so embarrassing. I don't know how, like, is there just no shame anymore? How do you put this out and you're not mortifyingly embarrassed? Again, after you've already mortifyingly embarrassed yourself on an international stage. You're going viral around the globe for your petulant crybaby loser behavior. And then you put out this apology where you blame someone else, don't take accountability at all, and then ask for forgiveness from everyone who felt hurt by what I did. Oh my God. Jacob Stash, thank you for the 2. Barcelona 0. Tacoma Defiance 3. I hadn't thought of it. I hadn't thought of it like that. I guess Alex Roldan counts there. Well, Georgie drew the pen. So yeah. Tacoma Defiance 3. Lionel Messi, Inter Miami, Luis Suarez, Sergio Busquets, and the crash out crybaby loser Barca Boys. 0. Sounders EBFG, thank you for the 5. Inter Miami fans are in full coat mode. One even said they don't care if we spank them in a week's time and lose the supporter shield race because they broke the points record. I mean, okay. It is funny that they play in a couple weeks, and I can already see a situation where they win that game and try to like act like it wipes all this away. No. It doesn't matter what happens in that game. Your club not only got their ass beat in a final, but they absolutely humiliated themselves on an international level after the game. And that's sorry as hell. Jose, thank you for the 5. Luis Loser Suarez apology is shit, even if he was provoked. I expect that kind of apology from my 10-year-old that was provoked by his 5-year-old brother. It's so bad, dude. It's so bad. I guess I should have expected it. But even so, just the how bad the PR strategy is, it blows the mind. It blows the mind. If you're the if you're the PR guy looking at this, okay, you got to put your copy editing hat on this. You can't just have him fire that out there. I hope they didn't write it. Because that language about like the things happened to me that shouldn't have, but my that is, you have to get that out of there, man. You have to get that out of there. That cannot be in there. I feel bad about what happened, and I didn't want to miss the opportunity to acknowledge it and ask forgiveness from everyone who felt hurt by what I did. We know there's a lot of season ahead, and we're going to work together to achieve the success that this club and all its fans deserve. A hug to all. I mean, yeah, you could have just axed that entire last paragraph as well, but you guys will notice that the criteria I was talking about taking accountability and specifically apologizing to the person who was wronged, my guy did not even come close. He didn't even come close. And not only did he not come close, he blamed Seattle's players and staff for provoking him. Provoking you into spitting on somebody, into stepping on their foot and spitting on somebody. I would like to hear what that provocation was. You want to act like you were provoked? You want to go with the provoked talking point? How were you provoked? Why won't you say that? If it was that bad that you had to spit on somebody, why not say what it was? Get it out there. It's because you're being a weasel and you don't think you did anything wrong. You think you're beyond reproach. That's why. It's God, it's so bad. It's so bad. So yeah, let's we've seen Luis Suarez's laughable, embarrassing non-apology. What did Inter Miami have to say about all this? You know, it's their club that embarrassed itself. So they got to put out a statement too, right? It's kind of weird that they hadn't put one out yet. They put this out like a few hours ago. So let's see what they had to say. Again, I think there's a very kind of clear, basic PR strategy here from their perspective, which is condemning the behavior specifically, apologizing to the staffer that was spit on by your crash out, crybaby loser player, I think those are the main things that you got to hit on. Let's see if they did it. Let's see if they did it. We're going to pull that up right now. Jay Score, thank you for the 5. Miami exec, you should review the apology statement, right? PR person, I got a Pitbull concert. What could go wrong? There, something was missed there. Something was missed there. Things happen that shouldn't have, but that doesn't justify the reaction that I had. If you're going to put that in there, say what things happened that shouldn't have. What are they? What did Obed Vargas do to you that necessitated starting that brawl, other than beat your ass, own you on the field? What else? What did Gene do to provoke you spitting on him? Why don't you say what that was? God, he's such a fucking loser, man. Say what it was. Why won't Suarez say what it was? Why doesn't the club say what it was? How were they provoked? Either say it or miss me with this provocation talking point. Okay? This is just stupid. Let's pull up the Inter Miami statement. Oh, the first thing I wanted to do, let's before we read their statement, let's take a look at their L graphic. Let's take this one in. Let's enjoy this. I've been breaking down the opposing team's L graphics the last few games. It's a fun little segment. This was a tough one for our friends in South Florida because not only did they get their ass beat 3-0 to lose a final, but they absolutely disgraced, humiliated, and embarrassed themselves on a global stage. So what do you tweet after that? They went with the basic full-time period. Score, you got your score right here. That's my favorite part. And they went with Yannick Bright. And they had Suarez in there to the side. I would have thought that maybe they blasted this out like right as the brawl was starting. So I didn't think like maybe we should not have Suarez on there because I didn't see that he spit on somebody until after the brawl was over. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt on why we have this crash out crybaby loser in here. But they put Yannick Bright front and center. I imagine because he's like the most non-controversial member of the team. No one's really got anything against Yannick Bright. So I can understand that choice. It's a nice little graphic. They got like the pink lighting here. And they are sitting on 1.3K replies, which is you don't want your final graphics sitting on 1.3. You just don't. If you want to have a good time, I highly recommend diving in to these 1.3K because the people are not happy. Their fan base didn't think it was an especially great performance. But anyway, that was their L graphic. All right, let's take a look at their statement. Nice little tweet here. What do you guys have to say for yourselves after you absolutely embarrassed yourselves and your entire organization on the global stage and one of your crash out crybaby loser players spit on an opposing team staffer? How do you handle that one? See what they have to say. They say Inter Miami condemns the altercations that took place following the conclusion of the Leagues Cup final. These actions do not reflect the values of our sport, and we remain committed to upholding the highest standards of sportsmanship, both on and off the pitch. We are working closely with Leagues Cup and MLS officials to ensure the situation is addressed appropriately. We thank our fans and community for their continued support. Chat, this is probably the worst statement that they could have put out. I just don't know what we're talking about with this stuff, man. There's nothing in there. There's nothing in there that means anything at all. It's literally entirely meaningless. There's nothing in there taking responsibility for the role that their club played in it. There's nothing addressing the fact that their crash out crybaby loser number 9 spit on an opposing team staffer. Nothing. In fact, if you didn't know what happened, you would think that they were addressing something that was not even like specifically to do with them, that was to do with both clubs. Which, even if they feel that way, don't say that in the statement. Or at least don't make it this obvious. Oh my God, whoever wrote this, bro. You're killing me. You're killing me with just like a fundamental lack of understanding of how to handle a basic, how to handle a PR crisis. I don't think that I disagree. I don't think the statement is fine. There needs to be a semblance of accountability in it. All they're doing is trying to muddy the waters and make it seem like what they did was instigated by someone else. That's the opposite of accountability. That's blaming other people instead of taking responsibility for it yourself, which is what you need to do in this situation. These actions do not reflect the values of our sport, and we remain committed to upholding the highest standards of sportsmanship, both on and off the pitch. That's meaningless. That literally means nothing. You could just cross that out the statement. Nothing would be different. Like, if you're really going to go this vague, blaming other people, not taking responsibility route, just axe that part of it altogether. It's almost like insulting to our intelligence to after an event like that saying you remain committed to upholding the highest standards of sportsmanship. Great job. Great job on that. Yeah, this is like Chat GPT. I'm pretty sure that's how they did this. If I read this, I would think they were talking about something that happened with a different club. Exactly. And you know what bothers me the most, man? What bothers me the most about these non-apologies, these pathetic statements? Gene is owed an apology here. He's owed an apology. He did not do shit to merit that. He might have said something to Suarez. I don't know. I'm sure that's why Suarez is going to say he reacted that way. But it doesn't matter. I've seen people saying like, well, we don't know what Gene did or said. It literally, if you're going with that talking point, you're just stupid. That doesn't matter. It's such an egregious act that there is no justification. There is no scenario where saying that you were instigated or provoked holds any water at all, because you spit on somebody, man. And you do not do that. That is a line that you do not cross ever. And if you do cross it, own it. Take accountability for it. Actually apologize for it. Apologize to the person who was spit on. How about that? How about that, like, lowest bar of all time that they couldn't meet in either of those statements? It's ridiculous and embarrassing on the merits, but it's also just such bad damage control. It's literally the worst damage control they possibly could have put out there. Like, honestly, just keep not saying anything at all instead of putting that stuff out. With Suarez saying things happened that shouldn't have. But I shouldn't have reacted that way. But they think they were doing things that shouldn't have happened. I'm not going to say what they were. I'm going to keep implying that I was instigated and provoked, but I'm not going to say how. Why won't they say how? Why do you think that is, chat? Why do you think they won't say how they were provoked? They won't say that. Mascherano said it after the game, but he wouldn't say how. Suarez implied it in his statement, but he won't say how. Inter Miami are very clearly trying to imply that and how they're handling it, but they won't say how. Why won't they say how? How were you provoked? If you were provoked, if you were instigated, how about you put out a statement explaining that so we all know? If it's that bad, then people will see it and they'll say, oh, well, that's why he spit on somebody. That makes sense. He was provoked into it. They won't say how. I think part of it is it's like arrogance. We can't admit, even when there's video all around the world of what happened, we just can't admit it. And it's also, like I said, muddying the waters, trying to maybe lessen the discipline, lessen the punishment, lessen the fallout by trying to diffuse the responsibility onto other parties that aren't them. Cowardly, pathetic, embarrassing, sorry as hell. I didn't think there was anything that could be sorrier than how they acted after the game, but this, in my opinion, it makes it worse. It makes the whole thing worse. Because they weren't provoked at all. It's an excuse. Yeah. Exactly. And it's very transparent. It's very transparent. And by no stretch of the imagination should anyone let that fly. And it's funny, like, there's still been no discipline announced. And doesn't it kind of feel like they're sort of trying to set the stage for a, well, that happened in Leagues Cup, so we can't do anything about it. They can be suspended from Leagues Cup. But we can't suspend Suarez. Sorry, happened in Leagues Cup. That's not what they're trying to do. Then why haven't they issued the suspensions already? I don't know. I could be wrong. I just feel like there's no way they can get away with that. There's no way. I just, like, you have to. Apparently, they don't get, the Inter Miami doesn't give a shit about the optics. I would think that the league would have to. If they come out and they say they're not suspending Luis Suarez or Sergio Busquets at all, I mean, that's just, let them try that. See what the public response is to that. I just find that hard to believe. Common sense would dictate that I think Suarez should get the season. I think he should get the season. There has to be a line. There has to be a line. If spitting on somebody, an opposing team's staffer, if spitting on somebody isn't the line, then, like, what is the line? What can't he do? If he's back out there in the next match day, just like playing for them, like nothing happened, under the premise that, oh, he apologized, so it's all good. He didn't apologize. That's not an apology. I'm not even going to call that an apology. That's a joke, man. It blows the mind. They wear MLS on their sleeve during the tournament. They are arbiters of the league. They should give a damn that an MLS affiliated employee spits on old men. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Do you think that the investigation hit a snag because Brian gave the team 5 days off and weren't available for interviews? I haven't thought of that. Maybe, but, like, days off from training don't necessarily mean you can't, like, talk to somebody from the league office. So, I mean, I feel like, what do you even need to interview people about at this point? The whole thing's on video. That's why this whole, like, they provoked us thing is so funny. No, they didn't. There's video of the whole thing. The only manner in which you were provoked is that you got your ass beat on the field. And that was embarrassing because you have this team of superstars that everyone said is going to win everything easily. They're going to take over MLS like no problem. And that didn't happen. And not only did that not happen, you got outclassed, outcompeted, outcoached, out everything in every facet of the game. That's how you got provoked. Was Obed Vargas talking some shit to Suarez? Probably. Because he just owned him on the field. where this stuff is decided. Someone talking a little trash to you, a 20-year-old kid. You're a 38-year-old man. You were a 38-year-old man who just got owned by a 20-year-old kid so badly that you charged him, put him in a headlock. Your 37-year-old teammate punches him in the face, and then you go spit on the team staffer. I don't know if I've ever seen anything more embarrassing, like in a professional sporting event. I guess, yeah, I saw 9 red cards were handed out. I didn't see who, but I imagine that there was some Seattle. Does anyone know who on Seattle got the red cards? I'd imagine a few of the crash out crybaby losers got them, but I think probably John Bell and Jackson Reagan, maybe Cody Baker. I don't know. Yeah. John Bell and Reagan definitely got cards. Yeah, they're not going to give one to Suarez because he apologized. Couple for Nuhu, yeah. Dempsey got one. I mean, if they give them to Jackson Reagan and John Bell, I don't really care. They were scrapping in there, whatever. If they're suspended for the first Leagues Cup game next year, so be it. But it is, I mean, I don't know. I think they got to give Suarez I think they got to give him the season. They got to give him the season. If it's like 2-3 games, I don't think that'll be received very well either. Proud of beating 38-year-old. You know where those player played in 20-year-old. I guess not in MLS. I think what you're trying to say here is that Seattle shouldn't be proud of beating Luis Suarez because he's 38 and that he was playing in a better league in MLS when he was 20. So congratulations. That is the most laughably bad point that has been made in the chat so far tonight. Good job. I can see that you think that you cooked there, but I can assure you that you did not. You can't have it both ways, man. You can't have it both ways. You can't have the these guys are going to come in here and dominate everybody because MLS is such a trash league. And then when they get their asses beat, rationalize it because of their age. Doesn't work like that. Sorry, you got to pick one. Suarez played, I don't know, he played in a good league when he was 20, probably. Congratulations. He also spit on an opposing team staffer and crashed out like an absolute embarrassment, crybaby loser. So, I mean, that is, I think that's more of the takeaway than whatever you're talking about there. He's got an entire history of biting people throughout his career, which is its own issue. But in this scenario, there is no takeaway other than what he did was one of the saddest, most embarrassing, pathetic displays that we've ever seen on a soccer field. All right. I mean, I really didn't have much else to say regarding the Inter Miami non-apologies. We'll see what happens. I would be pretty surprised if we go much longer than this without stuff getting announced on what the disciplinary action is. But I didn't think that we were going to make it this long. I feel like it's not. Is this that hard to come up with what the punishment should be? Do you really need to break that video down painstakingly to determine, like, maybe for stuff like the minor infractions, you need to break it down. For crash out crybaby number 1, the spitter, and crash out crybaby number 2, the face puncher, that should be pretty clear cut. The spitter gets the season. Give the face puncher the season too. Screw that guy. What was he doing? Busquets is one of the main ones that escalated. You want to talk about provocation and instigation? What about Sergio Busquets, 37-year-old man out there punching Obed Vargas in the face? How's that for provocation or instigation? What about the rumors about what Messi said to De La Vega? Yeah, I know people want me to talk about that. You guys want to talk about that? Let's talk about that because there's been a lot of talk about that today. That was a big story. That started with Alan Gordon, MLS veteran, who has a Major League Journeyman podcast with Dax McCarty and Dan Gargan. He said on that podcast that he was told by an inside source that Messi told De La Vega, when we all saw that part of the game where Messi was chirping De La Vega. I was wondering what he said. Alan Gordon claimed that a source told him that Messi told De La Vega that he would never get called into the Argentina national team as long as Messi is involved. Basically saying that he was blackballing him from the national team. As long as I'm involved, you're not getting called up. So that was naturally pretty explosive. And basically, as soon as that came out, everyone immediately jumped on calling it fake news. It didn't happen. He's lying. What source? My goat would never. All this stuff. So I'll just tell you guys what I know. I don't know for sure what happened. But I do know that J.O., Sounder at heart, he wrote up Alan Gordon's quote, and I'm pretty sure that that was after doing his due diligence and asking people, trying to get it confirmed himself. And I'll tell you guys from my perspective. I'm not a breaking news reporter. I'm not a scoop guy. I leave that to Tommy Bogues. Okay. But I do have my own sources on the inside. I don't, like I said, I don't use them to break news, but I do get a lot of information from behind the scenes, from the inside, that I use to inform my takes sometimes. And I just like to know what's going on. All right. So I reached out to people about this. I asked if people knew if it was true or if it was bunk. And I'll just relay to you guys what I was told, which is that it is true. All right. So I don't know if that means that it is. And you can believe whatever you want. I don't like you. If I'm sitting here saying that I had a source tell me that it's true and you don't want to believe me, I don't care. Like, you can believe whatever you want. I'm just telling you from my perspective why I believe there's credence to it is because that's what I was told. And I trust the people that I talk to. Okay. They have no reason to lie or misrepresent anything. If it wasn't true, I'm pretty sure they would say that. So, like I said, I mean, anyone's entitled to believe whatever they want about that. If you want to say that I'm blowing smoke, if you want to say that Alan Gordon was blowing smoke and that the whole thing is fake news and the GOAT would never, that is fine. That's your prerogative. I don't expect there's anything that anyone would or could say to you that would change your mind. So that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just telling you from where I sit. If I'm told that, like, I believe the information that I'm given. So I didn't delete anything, Reese. I don't know. I'm not in control of the IG. I don't even know what comment you're talking about. And like, quite frankly, if Messi did say that to De La Vega, I think it's that would be very messed up, and it kind of crosses into a boundary of, like, there's trash talk on the field, and then there's like threatening somebody and like messing with their career. And if he did say that, that goes into that territory. But if it's on field trash talk that he's like trying to get into De La Vega's head, and then after the game, nothing else comes of that, then it's kind of whatever. It is like a bad look. And it's weird and embarrassing, but that's basically where I sit with that. If I'm just theorizing on it, and this is not based on anything source, this is just me speculating. I could see a situation where what he said was more to the effect of, like, you're not good enough for the national team. Like, you'll never get called in because you suck, kind of thing. And maybe somewhere down the grapevine, it got construed as the blackball thing. Maybe that's what happened. Because that, I just, that's what I was thinking about, because that just makes more sense to me as like trash talk, more than like, I'm going to blackball you. I could see, it makes way more sense to me saying something like, you suck, you're never going to get called in. Whatever. But I don't know. All I know is what Alan Gordon said. All I know is what I was told. And you can take it or leave it. That's and I was also, furthermore, I was told he chirped Obed Vargas as well. The person I talked to said 100% true in regards to the De La Vega aspect of it, and then added the Obed Vargas thing. I didn't even know or ask about that. So he was chirping out there. I mean, we saw that much. But I mean, it's The idea that this was just like made up out of thin air and that there's no smoke to it at all, I'm just telling you guys that is not the case. Like this, there was smoke behind the scenes, there was rumors, whatever. And then there was Alan Gordon just coming out and saying it. And for the best that I know, he stood by it. And I'll say too, like it's possible that he's totally wrong. It's possible a person that I talked to is totally wrong. I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know what was said. That is possible. But it's, to me, it feels like where there's smoke, there's fire type situation. I believe Alan Gordon because he's a self-proclaimed Sounders hater even before you had a source, but now I definitely think it's legit. What poor form by Mr. Messi. I don't know what motivation Alan Gordon would have to just pull that out of thin air. That's the thing. Like when people just immediately jump to fake news. I don't know if what he was told was correct, but obviously someone did tell him that. He's not just going to come in with that out of left field. There's got to be, if you're going to say he did that, there's got to be a motive. What's Alan Gordon's motive for that? If he said that, someone did tell him that. Obed and CR7 had him locked down all game except for his total sky shot. Yeah, they did. They did. They owned him. Alan Gordon's not. He's not going to do that to. If you got to watch the clip, then if you're going to say that he did that for clickbait, like watch the clip, watch the podcast. I think he was just cooking, and probably wasn't even thinking in the moment that it would blow up like it did. The reason it blew up like it did is because Jo looked into it, felt like he had. Like, this is another thing that you guys need to understand is when this stuff gets, when it goes from like the podcast into getting reported in the mainstream media, the reporters that write this stuff up, they don't run with something unless they feel like they have it confirmed from multiple sources. Like, you're never going to see a reporter who is good at what they do go off just what one person said. Like, if it's out there, it's because there's like multiple people who are saying that it's true. That doesn't mean that it's true in itself, but that's how it becomes like in the actual news and not just like rumor mill people talking. So, and that's why people going to the fake news line, clickbait immediately. You can say that when it's just like, you know, people in a comment section or whatever. But typically when you have actual sourced reporting, the people who are reporting that are like, they're reporting. They're talking to people. They're trying to get information. So, I mean, look, I don't really care about this to try and convince anybody. The only way I would know what would happen would be if I was there and if I heard what was said, and I didn't. So I like, if you don't want to believe that Messi would do that, if you want to say it's fake news, your GOAT would never. Alan Gordon is rage baiting, clickbaiting, and it's all fake news. You can believe that. I'm not gonna stop you. I'm not gonna stop you. Asking what is the source or say who the source is demonstrates a very basic fundamental misunderstanding of how journalism works. You cannot name your sources, otherwise you won't get information. That is just not how it works. So that's not a good point either. KJF, I gotta say, you're on fire with the bad points. Like, you've been cooking in this chat all night, and I think every single one has been a bad point. That's not a good point. Okay, Reese, I did see like that apparently De La Vega said that it's not true. I didn't see like where he was actually quoted as saying that. I saw people saying that he said that. Which, you know, like if he says that, I'm not gonna like say that he's misrepresenting anything. He's the guy who would know. It's just that it's in contradiction to what people have been saying behind the scenes. And there also is a lot of incentive for like De La Vega. I don't think he wants to be involved in any of this. I don't think he wants to be involved in anything that could be construed as like him beefing with Messi. I don't think any Argentine soccer player would have any interest in that, and I wouldn't expect him to. So anything that he says to just squash the whole thing, I would completely understand that. But I will say that him saying that it isn't true in itself doesn't mean it's not. Like, I will say that. I truthfully don't know what happened. I really don't. I'm not trying to say one way or the other, but I am telling you guys. I'm trying to share with you guys what I know, what I was told. Okay. Yeah, exactly, Jacob. Like, I think De La Vega, he said after the game, he said, I idolize Messi and Rodrigo de Paul. Like, he chirped me, but it's whatever. And then I did see what Reese was referencing, that people were saying after the fact that he said that Messi didn't say that to him. So who knows what's real at this point? I'm not saying that it can't be believed, dude. I'm just saying, like, if you it's not hard to see the incentive that he would have to just squash it, even if it was true. Like, let's it's not that hard of a leap to understand what I'm talking about with that, or why he would say that. I'm not saying not to believe him. You can believe all of you are free to believe whatever you want. You're free to believe whatever you want. I'm not trying to convince anybody. Not trying to convince anybody. God knows, there's a lot of people in a lot of comment sections popping off about it, and like people are going to be dug in on what they believe. Like, Reese, you clearly think that it's not true, so anything you hear about it is going to be like geared towards that conclusion, towards that talking point. People who think that it is true, it's the same that people have formulated their conclusions and then are like gathering the evidence and talking points that they want or need to lead them to what they already think. So that's basically where I come down on that. I like the one thing that I will say is, like, any notion that it came out of nowhere and is like fully made up and there was no smoke to it, I can just tell you guys for a fact that is not, like, it came from somewhere. How accurate what came out of it is, I don't know for a fact, but it did come from somewhere. All right. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. I knew that would take over the show. But at least we got our apology statement and Inter Miami analysis in beforehand too. Your points all sound valid to me, Ari. Not really interested in battle of gossip sources. All I care about is hearing from MLS what punishment they will give Inter Miami. Yeah. Let's see. When do you guys think that they're going to come out with that? It's definitely, you know what? They might be waiting till 5 p.m. tomorrow. I'm looking at 5 p.m. tomorrow. I got that circled on my calendar. That's when they're going to come out with Luis Suarez suspended for 1 game. Jackson Reagan, Nuhu, John Bell, 4 games apiece. Can we talk about D-Ro looking like a beast in the air? Yeah, I'm always down to talk about that. He just looks like a beast in general. Dempsey's going to get 6 games. Can you guys imagine if Suarez plays this weekend? That would go crazy. I would almost support it just for the content. How bad is Christian's injury? I don't know, like how serious that was ever considered to be. I know Schmetz did mention it after he was playing through something in that final. Schmetz mentioned it after the game. Was it? Does anyone know exactly? Did he say what it was? I can't remember. It's like his back or something. I really don't know. But I think I have not heard anything to the effect that his status for like this Galaxy game coming up is in jeopardy. But that'll be something like when the squad gets back to training and all that. We should find out more. Upper hamstring. Okay. That's not what you want to hear. D-Row family interview. Yeah, I actually played it on Lobbing Scorchers kickoff the last episode, and then we had to take the clip out because we got I can't keep track of like what gets copyright struck and what doesn't. I thought I was cool to play that, but I guess not. So it's not in the kickoff video, but it's still in the audio show. But yeah, I was there's nothing better than like a proud family interview, but then specifically a proud mom interview. Got a D-Row proud mom interview that was just so good, so wholesome. And it'll be interesting to see with Moose unsuspended for league play. I think with Jordan out, like there's still the Moose Jordan 1-2. Like I imagine they'll rotate starting with D-Row as the backup, but doesn't it feel like just all 3 of them need minutes? Which is that's a situation that's like a dream situation to be in at the number 9. Oh, you guys are right. I do remember this now. Pain in the buttocks. Yeah. That's unfortunate. That's never an injury that you want to hear. Yeah, they all started doing the shake and bake. That was oh god, it was so good. Having D-Row on the team has just been an awesome subplot, both because of how he's played, but like wasn't it cool seeing like Dwayne De Rosario down on the field getting interviewed in a set, like having a real MLS legend like that just around the team and in the organization. I think that's cool because he's like a goated MLS player. He's one of the best ever. He's got over 100 goals in the league and he won MVP. He was that guy. He also has, the OGs will know which one I'm talking about. He has one of the best free kick goals I've ever seen. You guys know which one I'm talking about. That, like, there's the Roberto Carlos one. There's some other legendary ones. But Dwayne D. Rose in like 2002 or whatever that was, it might have been even like more like 1998 or something. That is one of the nastiest free kicks I've ever seen. Want to do some rotation with D-Row? Yeah, well, I think another interesting conversation that's maybe more for the off season, but it's like, how do you handle the number 9 position next year? Because you do have a contract option on Moose. He'll probably be asking for a raise, deservedly. You'll ostensibly have Jordan healthy, and then you have Osaze, who just really looks like a rising star that needs to be getting minutes. And, some people might be like, oh, you can't keep all 3 because there's not like enough minutes for all 3. There's always enough minutes for all 3. You can think that you're not going to need all 3. So I would love to have all 3 back, is what I'm saying. But there's at least a strategic argument to be made that, like, what if you trade Moose for like a bunch of GAM, give Osaze full reign of that reserve role, then you sign your U22. I don't know. There's, again, that's more stuff that it's like roster movement talk for the offseason. But those are the types of interesting decisions that are going to have to be made, because this roster right now is stupid loaded. But when you have a stupid loaded roster, especially with a lot of guys who are vastly outperforming their contracts, it's hard to keep together. Guys are either going to want more money, or there's going to be other teams out there that are going to be willing to pay them a lot more money. I've just been thinking, like, Moose, I can name so many teams that need him. These teams that always spend all this money on attackers come to mind, like Atlanta and Toronto, where I swear it's like, the more I look at it, the more I'm like, dude, spending $22 million on Emmanuel Latte Loth, like, what's the reason you're doing that? It's because you think he's going to be able to come in the league and put up 15, 20 goals easily. I'm not saying Moose could score 15, 20 goals on that Atlanta United team, but my point is, like, if you're them and you don't spend $22 million on a striker, and you can find a striker that's more of the Moose profile, you can probably, if you play your cards right, you can probably get at least in the ballpark of the production that you're hoping to get from your $22 million striker. Moose has outscored Latte Loth by more than double this year, I'm pretty sure. And yes, part of that is one's playing on a good team and one's playing on a bad team. But think about if they had a striker like Moose and then used that $22 million to, like, really build up the spine of their team, which has been their big weakness. Like, use that on, like, the best number 6 you can find. Then go get, like, a really good center back that you can put with Gregerson instead of playing Derek Williams like they did this year. Allocate your resources, like, elsewhere other than a $22 million number 9. I bring that up because Moose is the type of guy, it strikes me, that they should be targeting. So all that's to say, I think there's going to be a lot of demand for Moose around the league, probably from teams like that. So they just have to decide if, maybe it's a situation where Moose is like, I really want to go to a team in see if I can be like the unquestioned guy up top. And if I keep playing like I've been playing and I go to a team where I can get some good service, I mean, the guy looks like he's going to score 20 goals all comps this year, which is like, again, if Latte Lath put up the exact same stats as Moose put up this year, which I think is 15 goals all comps, 13 and 2 assists in league play, people be like, yeah, that's what you pay $22 million for. Production like that. That's what you pay $22 million for. Latte Loth, he's got 13 and 2, 15 all comps. This guy's incredible. It's Moose production. And yeah, I think what Pat's saying is true. Like, you wouldn't need the greatest number 10 of all time or the greatest wingers of all time to get production out of Moose. If you have basic, competent, league average service, Moose should be able to get you some goals. He should. So I definitely think if I was an MLS GM for one of these struggling teams that probably needs a striker, what I would not do is go to ownership and be like, can I have a bag to go buy some striker who I think like the problem with teams like Atlanta and Toronto, who Toronto spent all this money on Insigne and Bernadeschi, buying really talented attacking players that you think can give you good stat sheet production, that alone, it's not enough in MLS anymore. I think that has become clear. There was perhaps an era where you could really base your fortunes around like, all right, I have my team, and then if I go buy an Insigne and just plug that guy who can be that productive in there, then my team is going to be contending. If I was building a team, I've been saying this year. Like, if I was an MLS GM, the way I would think of the strategy is first, like I would use one DP spot on the absolute best, just stud number 6 that I could possibly find. I would look for like as close to Ozzy Alonso type skill set as I could find, however possible that is to find for a player that you can get to MLS nowadays. Ozzy's pretty unique, but you know what I mean. Like that, my first goal, it wouldn't be a number 9, it wouldn't be a winger, it wouldn't be a number 10. It would be just an absolute rock number 6. Those are my favorite types of players, so that's partially why. But also, I think that's like talking about building blocks. That's like a real building block. So that's the first DP that I would sign. And then I would probably go to like a creative attacking midfielder. Your Haney Mukhtar, Lucho Acosta, Pedro de la Vega type player. I would spend one DP spot on that. I straight up might like I would spend a lot of money on a center back too. Really, both center backs. But I would just focus a lot more on the spine and the defense and like try to build a foundation. And for my first couple years in the league, I don't think I would even worry about a Latte Loth. Like, and this bringing it back to the original point, Moose is the type of striker that I would target. Like a proven MLS vet that you feel pretty confident can be good for double-digit goals. And then build the foundation around that. And then once I build that up, then we start talking about the luxury pieces, like a Latte Loth or the Italian boys in Toronto. Anyway, that was a tangent, but that's a window into how I would approach a roster build if I was an MLS GM. Reese says if someone's bidding for Morris, we should sell. We aren't going to make money off him in the future, especially with his increased risk of injury. I mean, I just don't think like he's at an age now where it's not like European teams in Europe, I think, are going to be pushing super hard for him. And that, I mean, that's purely when you're past 30. That's just how it works. And then I also think just at this point in his career, you got to take into account the hometown hero storyline. Like I think he's a Sounders lifer, and I'm happy with that. Like, I know he's had a tough year. I know he's been injured all year, but he has the most goals in the history of the club. He is proven time and again that he can be a focal point of an attack that's contending for and winning trophies in this league. He's won a lot of trophies being like a key player on the team. So I don't have any worries as far as his quality, whether his quality is such that the team can reach their ceiling with him as a focal point. And he also, I know the narrative around him this year is going to be that he's like injury prone, but every time he was on the field this year, he looked incredible. Like he looked like he was going to have one of his best seasons. That's why it sucks so bad. But like theoretically, with better injury luck, God willing, next year, I don't see any reason why he can't be back to being a very productive elite player in the league again. I don't think it's that type of situation. He yanked his hammy a couple times, re-aggravated it, and then busted his shoulder on like a freak play. I don't think these are injuries that you can't come back from. Morris's top asset is his speed that will not improve going forward. Not saying move him, but not sure he will be a DP on next signing. I agree with that. Like then the next time he signs, ideally it wouldn't be as a DP. But I mean, that's more from a roster value perspective more than like whether or not I believe his production will be there. We'll see what happens. I could be wrong, but I think that the production will be there. I didn't see anything when he did play this year that worried me that much that he's like going to be washed. Christian deserves all the money. That is for sure. You know who else we have to talk about with this is Paul Rothrock. There's been like reports and rumblings that Paul Rothrock's camp and the Sounders camp were not particularly close on what his number should be. Like next year, he's obviously pushing for a big raise. I mean, he's on like 100 and something K this year, which is like he should be pushing for a big raise. But it seemed like they were kind of waffling on like whether they were going to give him that much of a raise. But my understanding is that was before the last couple games, or I might have been before Leagues Cup even started, but I'm pretty sure it was before the last couple of rounds of Leagues Cup, where like now that they won a trophy with him contributing to it as much as they did, like just pay the man, pay Paulie Primetime. He's earned it. The only reason that you would balk at that is if you're like, all right, it's a fun story and everyone loves him and he contributes a lot to the team, but the stat sheet production isn't like super elite. And like, do we really want to pay a big number to a guy that we don't think is like necessarily stat sheet producing at the level of that money? But I think now that you've won a trophy with him contributing in the way that he did, you have a data point that shows that he can be that type of player where you can win silverware with him being like a big part of it. And also, I mean, I don't know if they were basing their alleged hesitancy on the stat sheet. He and Jesus Ferreira both, I will stand by this, because people will point to their stat sheet production as evidence of them like not living up to their status or whatever. He and Jesus Ferreira are both like pretty disgustingly unlucky to not have better numbers this year. Jesus has like at least 3 or 4 goals, 3 of which were disallowed on borderline offside calls that were not even him being offside. It was the other people. He has 2 that I can remember in the last like couple weeks that he smashed off the post, including the one in the Leagues Cup final, and probably a couple more that I'm not thinking of. Jesus has 3, 4, I think 4 goals, 3 goals in the league. Like the fact that he doesn't have like more like 7 or 8 is just, I really think that's unlucky. And Paul Rothrock, it's the same thing, but he could have like 4 or 5 more assists this year. They robbed him of one in Houston. You remember that? They took that one away because it took like the tiniest deflection of all time. And then there's been like 2 or 3 others where he's sent in perfect service and it's like the teammate has either missed it or smashed it off the post or it's taken a tiny deflection. There's always these plays with Paul Rothrock, like the goal that he helped create in the Galaxy game in the semifinals. Like that's the type of stuff that he also brings to the table, those effort plays that he created a goal on that play and he doesn't get an assist for it, but everyone knows that he's the one who helped create the goal. He got robbed of the not robbed, it was an own goal, but like the goal in the first Galaxy game in the MLS game before the semifinals that they won 4-0. Remember that one? Like the De La Vega put that ball in and whoever the center back was, it deflected off of him into the goal, but it was Rothrock who put the pressure on him and basically caused that own goal. There's so many plays like that with both of them where I would really argue, that the stat sheet does not reflect how valuable they've been and how much they've contributed to the attack. And I don't think that's just cope. I don't think it's just cope with Ferreira because obviously I planted my flag on that being a good trade. And I still planted that flag even when everyone was calling him a bust earlier this season. So obviously I know some people are going to say, oh, you would be the guy to say that Ferreira's stat sheet production isn't reflective of his contributions. But I believe that. I think if we're being serious about it, we can acknowledge that that's the case. And also when it comes to Ferreira, I've said this a lot, but like I've been very pleasantly surprised at just like how well-rounded a player he is. I like my impression of him at FC Dallas was just this like very, very creative, unselfish player. That's also a really good finisher. That's kind of what I thought of him at FC Dallas. But if you look at how he plays for the Sounders, man, like the work rate, his defending, and his pressing are all like top notch. It was funny watching Luis crash out crybaby Suarez, running around the field Inter Miami. I remember thinking to myself during that game, like, if you ask like the average fan, like, who would you rather have on your roster, Luis Suarez or Jesus Ferreira? Take out the crash out crybabiness aside, just purely on field as a player. If you ask, like, would you rather have Luis Suarez or Jesus Ferreira? Most casual fan that you ask would be like, Luis Suarez or Jesus Ferreira? You're really going to put Jesus Ferreira on the same level as Luis Suarez, a man who has played for Liverpool and the Uruguay national team? I'll take Luis Suarez. That's what they would say. Would be like a laughable proposition. But I look at it and I'm like, one of these guys actually plays like an all-around game. Like he plays defense, he presses. He has an incredible work rate. Luis Suarez, age 38. He can finish still if he's in front of goal, although not that. He has 6 goals this year. That's not even half of what Danny Musovski has. He has been very good as a playmaker, though. Like, you do have to give him that. He has 10 plus assists, all comps. And you could even see it in the final. Like, he set up both of their good chances. He set up the one that Messi hit into the 27th row, and he set up the one that Allende missed. But when I think of like who I would rather have right now, like, what about the 24-year-old that actually like has work rate, presses, plays defense, more well-rounded skill set? I'm just saying. I know a lot of people would crash out if they heard me say advocate that I would take Luis or Jesus Ferreira on the Seattle Sounders over Luis Suarez 10 times out of 10. Speaking purely as a player, like, obviously no one wants Luis Suarez anywhere near this city ever again because he's a crash out loser crybaby. But I'm talking skill set. I'm talking on the field. Like, I'll take the guy who's well rounded, who contributes on both sides of the ball, who runs all game, who's pressing all game, who's forcing these teams into these turnovers, creating these dangerous opportunities, dropping dimes in these counterattacks. I don't know if this got misconstrued, but I was not saying that they should give Rothrock a DP deal, and there is no like indication that they're like thinking about moving him up to a DP deal. Okay, this is just about giving him a raise, which I think we should all be able to agree that he has earned that. Yeah, I'll take the guy that doesn't bite, spit, and is racist. Yeah, that ends the theoretical debate right there. But again, I was talking it through like purely based on what they bring on the field. Suarez has been a weirdly good playmaker for them this year. Like, I will give him that if we're just evaluating how he's played on the field. If everyone's healthy, does Ferreira start? Yeah, I think so, because the way they were running it earlier this year was Rusnak at the 10, Ferreira in the wide right channel, De La Vega wide left, Moose or Osaze up top. I mean, at the end of the day, these things become a rotation. So really, it would be Ferreira and Rothrock rotating in that spot, or maybe you can play it based on matchup. But in my first choice 11 right now, the front four is De La Vega wide left, Rusnak at the 10, Ferreira wide right, Moose up top. That's how I would run it. But honestly, like, that's what's kind of great about the depth right now. Like, if someone were to say, like, I would rather have Rothrock starting wide right than Ferreira, that's not how I would line it up. But there's a great argument for that. Rothrock is absolutely starting caliber player on this team. We've seen that. So, I mean, I hate to break it to you, Reese, but I think when Rusnak is healthy again, they're going to line it up how I'm saying. They're going to put him back in there and move Ferreira wide right. And the reason I think that they're going to do that is you're right. Like, the form with Ferreira at the 10 has been phenomenal, but it also was with Rusnak in there beforehand. And like, regardless of what we think about the debate over that, they're not gonna make their like starting DP number 10, who has 10 goals, 7 assists this year in league play, like a backup in a situation where he would be put in that role because of injury. You typically don't see situations where a guy loses their job for injury like that. And they're also, my other thing is, like, I can understand the hesitation to move Ferreira from the 10 spot because of how good the offense looked with him there in Leagues Cup with Rusnak out. But I really felt like I feel like kind of the beauty of Ferreira is like if you're in a situation like this, you can plug him in that wide channel and he's still going to be pretty much the same amount of effective. I don't think he looked awesome at the 10, but I don't think he looked better there necessarily. This might be a controversial take, but I don't think he looked better there necessarily than he had been in playing in the wide channel. I thought he had been looking great in the wide channel. That's why he's such a sick player, because you can put him anywhere in there or as a false nine, and he's probably going to make it work. The false nine aspect of it has not popped as much this year, I guess. Hasn't gotten that much run, to be fair. We haven't seen anything like super electric from him as a false nine, but between how he how he's looked out wide and centrally, I like him in either of those roles, and I trust him to go out there and play at a high level and contribute to the offense at a high level. And then yeah, no, I mean, I see what you're saying, Reese. I see what you're saying. It was kind of a good bit how they were spamming De La Vega on the right, and it just wasn't working. And then, as literally the very game that they moved him to the left, he looked like the best player I've ever seen. But I think that's a little different because Ferreira had looked great on the right, I thought. Like, I thought the attack with De La Vega out left, Rusnak as the 10, Ferreira on the right. To my memory, maybe some of you guys remember this differently. To my memory, that was looking phenomenal. I think it just speaks to Ferreira's quality and his versatility that when Rusnak went out, they moved him in there and that level didn't drop at all. That's what's kind of incredible about where this roster is right now. I don't want to say injury proof. That's not a term you're ever going to hear me use. But it does feel like they pretty much there's solutions for every scenario. I remember when there was the thing about the Christian buttocks injury came out, and that was like a couple days before the final. And I was sitting there and I was like, man, like, oh God, if they have to play this game without Christian, that could be tough. That's like the one guy. That's the one guy where if he goes out, I'm like, I don't know if the cover can stay close to that level. But then I was thinking about it a little more. And I was like, I think there are solutions there. First of all, I said this before the game and I stand by it. If they had to run Snyder Brunel in that game, I think they still would have won. Is that a bad take? I think they win that game with Snyder being there. I think he's looked that good. And more than that, have you guys ever seen a guy who's like less phased by the pressure or the moment than Snyder B? That kid does not like. To me, what I love about his mentality is like you can just tell that he is actively looking forward to the opportunities he's getting. There's no like ooh like or oh like there's no tentative nature to not just his game but like his general disposition. I think Snyder B would have gone out there and done the job. But then also, I mean, if Danny Leyva has to play back there, I think we all like him at the 10 more at this point. But I have confidence in that as a solution for any given game. And then even when Alex Roldan had to do it, I think they still win that game if Christian had to miss it. And that's not a commentary on Christian's like quality or contributions at all. We all know he's the MVP of the team. I think it just speaks to like the depth that we're talking about right now. It's definitely the deepest Sounders squad I've ever seen. They've had some good rosters over the years, but like it's impressive. Yeah, Hunch, you're right. Uh, did we on this show overreact to Ryan Kent's first two games? Arguably. I don't learn my lesson though. I like to formulate rash conclusions. I will say on that though, Hunch. I will say he was looking like that guy again right before he got hurt. He was. He was. He was about to take back over. It's crazy that like we're talking about the roster like this, and not only is Paul Arriola not involved, but nor is Ryan Kent anymore. Craig Wives, man. I don't know what to say. Yeah. We get a hard time for the Ryan Kent excitement. I get it, but I stand by it. I stand by it. I don't think we were exaggerating how good he looked. He looked like the greatest soccer player alive. Obviously, I'm being a little facetious with that, but like, and I get now in hindsight, did some of that probably have a lot to do with the fact that he was playing St. Louis and Houston? Did I mock that when people pointed it out at the time? I might have. But I also do think that after the period of time where he cooled off considerably, he was heating back up and we were seeing those qualities that we were so excited about again. And I think that that level that we were seeing of him right before he got hurt, I think that was reflective of his quality, which while it might not be the quality that we said after his first two games, it's still very quality. I mean, that guy, I really think that guy's a beast. I don't know. Maybe people think that the shine was fully gone there by the time where he got injured. But I saw a lot of good stuff from him. I think he had 5 or 6 assists. So he was producing as a playmaker. I also just really loved the flash and flare that Ryan Kent plays with. He is very fun to watch. Like the way he jukes defenders and does like no look type of stuff, step overs. He has these like tricks in his bag that you don't even think. He's very creative. I don't really expect that he's going to be back on the team just because of you can't keep everyone. I think Paul Arriola is going to be back. But I don't know about you guys. I like if they did find a way to bring him back, I'd be happy with that. I think that if he had actually gotten a full complement of minutes, if you give Ryan Kent 25 plus MLS games, pushing 2K minutes, to me, I think he's like a 12 to 15 assist guy. Easy. That might be a hot take. I might have to workshop that one. The assist to D-Row against Cruz Azul. Yes. That's what I'm saying. Like that was sick. And it looked cool, which is one of my biggest criteria for guys that I want on the team. Do you do stuff that looks cool? Definitely can't keep Moose, Rothrock, and Kent without selling someone. Yeah. And that, I mean, I'd throw Arriola in there too. It's really like with Kent specifically, the way they were able to bring him in was by putting Paul Arriola on season-ending reserve or whatever. Hunch thinks that Kent's going to be here next year. I love that. He got bums off seats. Yes, exactly. I forgot about that quote. That would have been an underrated quote of the season. Georgie is Kent but unpolished. That's actually kind of a good take. Although I think that the polish, I'm cautiously optimistic that the polish is getting there with Georgie. That goal he scored in Leagues Cup against Santos Laguna, I was like, oh, okay, end product. They said you didn't have it, but that was pretty good. I think it is still a situation where it's more excitement. It's more excitement than end product, but I mean, the ceiling on Georgie, I think, has the potential to be pretty crazy because he's like Ryan Kent, but if he was even like a he's like Ryan Kent if you gave him Jordan Morris's like physical attributes of like pace and power. That's what he could be if he like hits his ceiling, you know? So, I mean, how exciting would that type of player be? Favorite moment from the final was Jesus coming off for Georgie. Jesus pointed at his dome, telling Georgie, use your brain, brother. I didn't catch that, but I would like to think that was Jesus saying, I swear to God, if you get a red card. That's like when RBW did that to Nuhu. That was my cover photo. I think it might still be my cover photo on Twitter, which I don't use my Twitter anymore. But I have the famous RBW. I think it was after Nuhu got thrown out of a game or was about to get thrown out of a game. Tell Garber the Barca crybabies can stay together if we get to pull roster cheats next season. Yeah. Just don't suspend Suarez, but let everyone else cheat. I can get behind that. Georgie does get bums off seats. That is true. And I mean, I don't know if the premise is like Georgie should get more minutes, but I agree with that. Like, there's no question about that. Just for the excitement, if anything else. Kent was playing high risk, high reward. Sometimes he'd get dispossessed by a guy standing still. Then 5 minutes later, he'd deliver a perfect assist. Yeah, so that's during that period where he cooled down quite a lot. To me, it felt like, an issue of decision making and, when should I take guys on? When should I recycle it? If I have 2 or 3 guys surrounding me, should I try and take all 3 of them on? Sometimes he decided yes, when arguably he shouldn't have. But I also, I don't know how much of that is like, maybe that's just who he is as a player, but I don't know how much of that is also stuff that when you're integrating into a new team that you haven't played with before, maybe it's stuff that either happens because you're not familiar with your teammates or because you're pressing, like you're really trying to make an impact so the other guys on the team like know that you're reliable and that you can produce and all that. So that's why it sucks that he got hurt because it felt like we were finally he was going to get enough run for us to find this stuff out. And he was really genuinely starting to look like he was getting back to that form that we saw in those first couple games. So I think I would take him back as much as anything, like out of curiosity. because some of the stuff we saw, I think Georgie with end product is like a good way to put it. Like, which Georgie with end product, that could be scary. And I think he's going to get there. Miami just loaned out Kramashi to Parma. That's weird. He's a really good young player. Yeah, he's one of their good homegrowns. And also has never spit on somebody. So that puts him in better standing than some people on Inter Miami that I could name. But I think that's a situation where, I mean, they're allowed to cheat. So I don't think that's about the cap or the roster build. But I think he's got USMNT ambitions. Maybe he wanted to try his hand in Europe. I don't know. If I were him, I'd probably stay in Fort Lauderdale with the Barca Boys. But I don't know. Would you want to hang out with those guys after what we witnessed in the Leagues Cup final? Maybe that's what happened. He was finally like, these guys are whack, man. Why am I playing with these guys? Get me to Italy. Moved him to make space for whoever they added. Oh, okay. What if he wasn't injured? Had to be the most asked question about this team. It's honestly, it's insane, man. Imagine if they had even like normal injury luck this year. Imagine if they even got 15 to 20 games out of Jordan Morris. But then it's like, like Moose was literally scoring goals has been scoring goals at the rate that I would want and expect Jordan to. So I don't even know if the team would have that many more goals in that circumstance. Just because the guys that have replaced him have been so productive. I mean, like, let's just add it up. Jordan had 4 goals this year when he hasn't been hurt. Moose had 13. And then, well, I guess let's do all comps, because if you're going to throw Osaze in there, his production mostly came in Leagues Cup, which that's the only place where he played regularly. So that counts. That matters. Jordan has 4, I want to say. Moose has 15 all comps, so that's 19. Osaze has 5 all comps, so that's 24 goals all comps, if my math is correct, from the number 9 position this year. That's not only good production, that's elite. That's elite. And your DP number 9 only scored 4 of those because he's been injured all year. It's just crazy. Paul A didn't get injured. Kent wouldn't come, and Paul Rothrock wouldn't be playing wing because Paul A would have played. I think Rothrock's like role on the team, I think would have been the same anyway, because he really established it last year. It's not like he was an unknown commodity. So I think he's probably got more opportunities this year than anticipated. But I think Rothrock is, like, honestly, man, like, there was a while where it was like a cute little, like, look at this scrappy underdog who was on Toronto FC too and now made the first team. And now I'm just like, this guy, he needs to be playing because of how many plays he makes for this team. Honestly, also, I still can't believe the cinematic sequence that took place with Schmetz's quote and then him scoring that goal. Noah and I were talking about it on the pod we put out, but, like, could that have been any better for Lobbing Scorchers? I really don't think so. What are you guys debating right now? Reese and Jake. I can't tell. What are you guys debating? I'll weigh in. Very objectively true because we play a very rigid game. We pass to the wings of two options, cross or pass backwards. Kent and Georgie and even De La Vega have a desire to take on defenders and run. I still can't tell what this debate is. Tell me what the debate is. I'll weigh in, and then I'm going to call it a night, folks. I roll 2 hours on Under the Lights, unless I'm really cooking. Oh, okay, that Schmetzer takes away wingers' flair and individuality, kills wingers, hates wingers not named Paul Rothrock. I mean, there might have been something to that at some point. All I know is that this attack right now is one of, if not the best in the league, at least since Club World Cup. This has been, I think, the best attack in the league. They're scoring boatloads of goals. They dropped 7 on Cruz Azul. They dropped 5 on Sporting KC. They've been dropping 3 to 5 in like a lot of these games. And it's also, I mean, I don't know about like wide creativity as a hallmark of this stretch, but what I think the best part about what Schmetzer Ball is doing right now is the press and putting teams under pressure, forcing turnovers, and then starting counterattacks, but then also executing on counterattack. I just think it's a fun offense to watch right now. So like whatever part boring aspects of Schmetzer Ball that there might have been in the past, which I don't necessarily disagree with that. God knows there was a long period of last year where this was a boring offense to watch, especially at the start of the season. I just think that since Club World Cup, that definitely hasn't been the case. And like if they keep playing offense like this and scoring goals at this rate, then all hail Schmetzer Ball. Like just keep doing this. Keep doing what you've been doing. And I will never complain about it because the footy we've been seeing since the Club World Cup has been phenomenal. And they got a trophy off it too. So that's the most important thing. Crazy thought. 3 of the most memorable moments in the history of this club were in this tournament. 7-0 De La Vega goal, beating Messi and the Crybabies. Cryami. Beating Messi and Cryami for a cup. I would add Hunch. I would add the Shake and Quake to that. It's 3 of my favorite individual goals in the history of the club in this one tournament. The De La Vega Puskas, the Shake and Quake, and the Rothrock capper. The Shake and Quake should not be slept on. That was such a sick goal. In a different way than the De La Vega one. The De La Vega one was just like world-class technical ability. And honestly, I think it's the most beautiful goal I've ever seen. And obviously, people are going to say I'm biased on that. But what I would my argument for that would be like, obviously, yes, the fact that he made that is insane. But the fact that it kissed all 3 posts and didn't hit turf until it bounced out of the goal, it's perfection. It was the perfect goal. Never seen a more perfect goal. But then you got the Shake and Quake, which is just Osaze having the creativity. It still had that like creative flair aspect to it. Having the creativity to flick the ball up over his head with his back to goal. Have 3 or 4 guys or whatever standing between him and where he needs to get the ball and get the shot off. And him just being like, you're not gonna stop me. Zanka, Maya Yoshida. Oh, you guys played in the English Premier League? Ask me how much I care about that. Proceeds to bull through all of them. And then absolutely bam on the LA Galaxy. I love that goal. Shout out to the listeners who made that Shake and Quake poster behind me. I need to actually hang it up. I just put it there to have it on display for the people. All right. I'm going to call it on that, guys. I'll call it on that. I put in 2 hours, so that's a good night at the streaming office. Appreciate you all for tuning in, as always. I think we already said it, but thank you for all the support that everyone showed, like just during Leagues Cup. Tuning in, the post-game shows all went crazy. Loved taking all your calls, getting the discourse flowing. You guys are the best. This was a fun one, going through the Inter Miami non-apologies. We'll see what happens with that. Maybe when the suspensions finally come down, if they come down, we'll do like an emergency stream. But keep an eye out for more content is coming. We're putting out a vlog that we made with all the footage that we got at the final. That is going to be super sick. I've seen some of the like drafts of it that Eric, our video guys, have been cooking up, and oh my god, it looks so sick. If you guys liked our Open Cup vlogs, this is like that, but for that game, the Leagues Cup final. We got all kinds of crazy footage, man on the street type content. And then Eric actually shot the game and got all the goals. So that's going to be sick. And it was supposed to come out tomorrow. That's why I'm bringing this up. It's supposed to come out tomorrow. I don't think pretty sure we're not on track for that. There's a lot that goes into making a production like that. So sorry that we couldn't hold the getting it out on the 5th, but it's going to be worth it. It's going to be one of the most fire pieces of content we've ever put out. So I can't wait for you guys to see it, but it is going to take a few more days to throw that together. Everyone say thank you to Eric for making that, because it's going to be fire. Follow me on Blue Sky for I don't like without a game this weekend, it might change. Like we won't have a post game show, so maybe we'll do something else. I think I like the idea of doing a show when the suspensions get announced. That'd be a good bit. But other than that, the content train keeps rolling. We'll keep doing live shows, putting out podcasts while we wait for the team to get back at it in Matchday 32 next weekend after this weekend. All right, I'm out of here for the night. Love you guys. Have a good one. Peace.
Some people come to Lumen Field for the tactics, for the soccer, the atmosphere, and some come for Paul Rothrock's hair. Me personally, I come for both, because I have agendas to push. Live soccer isn't just better, it's way more personal. From making friends to becoming the guy in your section that's just constantly yelling about advanced statistics. Get tickets to any Sounders match by visiting lobbingscorchers.com/tickets. You support the pod, our agendas, the vibes, and the chaos.